Despite what its slow build-up may suggest, Trepang2 is a very fast game. While still being slow enough to process the gameplay, it is speedy enough to make you feel like a force of nature, flying through mercenaries and man-made horrors beyond my comprehension. The general aesthetic, while somewhat generic at times, can work with the aforementioned gameplay, creating a nice backdrop to cover with bits of your enemies. In this section, I will be providing a synopsis of the plot as it is in gameplay. I will not be going out of my way to get all of the intel collectibles, as would most people. You awake in a cell, being handcuffed and forced to watch some kind of propaganda before a mysterious figure saves you from this fate. Now free to wander the facility, you go through a mandatory stealth section, avoiding guards that seem desperate to lock you up. After crawling through hallways and some ventilation, you end up in the security office with the keys to your handcuffs and your first gun. This kickstarts the actually fun part of the game, as stealth will never be used again. After using your pistol for a while, you will most likely pick up another gun, either being the submachine gun or the Spaz 12 shotgun, both of which being the best weapons in the game. You soon make your way into a large open room with 6 elevators lining the walls. Waves of enemies come for you, one after the other. Once they're all killed, the guy who's been yelling over the intercom finally comes out to finish you off himself. Proving nothing but a mild inconvenience, you kill him and make your way onto the helipad, with a squad of soldiers waiting to escort you onto a helicopter. From here, you'll be able to test your skills with the Combat Simulator, a simple game mode where you fight waves of enemies on a map of your choosing, gaining money with each kill, which you can use to buy gear used in the simulation, and the Mission Select menu, which, unsurprisingly, lets you select your mission. Selecting Pandora Institute, you head to the helicopter so it can take you to the next level. You're first greeted with a wide shot of the Horizon facility, protected by an anti-aircraft gun, which attempts to shoot your helicopter out of the sky. It just barely misses, and you're deployed onto the facility to disable the weapon. Fighting your way through the building, you soon make it out onto the courtyard and you disable the gun, allowing your allies to land, giving you some backup if needed. Using the breach charges dropped alongside the soldiers, you blast open the door, rushing in to capture a Horizon scientist who's been very influential in their research. Breezing past the mercenaries, you slowly start to get the feeling something is wrong, with all of the "they will be remembered" memorial and unsettling paintings along the way. This feeling is soon amplified when you see a creature drop down from the vents and devour a mercenary. Walking down the hallway, the dubious being ran through, you find heaps of corpses littered throughout the hallway, marking a trail of destruction that you have no choice but to follow. After walking through a door named Rally Point Sigma, you see this mangled figure covered in boils with warped skin stumbling around, before it crashes through the glass and you're forced to put it out of its misery. Walking past the zombie's corpse, you find yourself in a cafeteria with the walls coated in some kind of biological material. Before you have time to take in the scenery, however, multiple zombies drop from the ceiling to try to kill you. Making your way out of the cafeteria, the scenery returns to normal and you attempt to place a breach charge on the door, before you're rudely interrupted. After being tossed down the tunnel by the imposing figure, you land in another area coated in a biological substance from earlier. The floor starts to do damage to you, and this, along with the enemies right on your tail, make for a phenomenal chase sequence. Rushing past the zombies and pools of bile, you arrive at the office of the Horizon scientist you were sent in to retrieve. Unfortunately, his corpse lies stiff on the floor. While you can't bring the man back, you can bring back his findings. You download his research onto a flash drive and make your way to the reactor core to disable it. To disable each reactor core, you'll need to grab one of the nearby zombies and throw them into the core, repeating the process until the reactor is left without a power source, letting you escape. You head to the elevator and call it, but as it descends, the large creature from before swoops down and attempts to kill you. After holding out for a few minutes, the elevator arrives and you're brought to the surface. More soldiers are there to greet you, but as you're about to head over to the helicopter, the creature climbs through the elevator shaft and onto the surface, desperate to finish you off. After a long and a bit tedious fight, you go to the helicopter, ready to leave this place behind for good. Selecting the third level, Jorvik Castle, it begins a little bit abruptly, with you being dropped into an old but cared-for castle. You make your way to a balcony overlooking the courtyard and have the choice of sniping from the safety of the heights, or you can jump down like a real gamer and fight the cultists in close quarters. Clear the courtyard so your allies can drop down safely, but before you have time to move on to the next area, another wave of cultists is upon you. Killing the zealots, you make your way into the building and soon get notified of a high-value target nearby, the Enforcer. Fighting through comical amounts of enemies, you're soon confronted by the Enforcer, wielding a machine gun with heavy armor. Halfway through the fight, he disappears in a cloud of smoke and summons reinforcements. Killing them, he reappears only to be filled with lead by you. Horizon Special Forces are deployed after it seems the corporation has deemed the cult needs to be eliminated. Rushing back to the courtyard, you'll find cultists and Horizon soldiers fighting each other along the way, one side fighting for survival, the other fighting just for the sake of winning. A bit before you get back, the cult's leader, the Patriarch, voiced by Gianni Matragrano, starts talking shit over the radio, warning you not to come after him. You ignore this warning, of course, and plow right ahead, making it back to the courtyard to help your allies fight off some cultists. After clearing the area, you're sent to go check out what happened to one of the team's commands lost contact with, Spectre 3. Walking past corpses of allied soldiers, you soon find yourself in some kind of a mockery of a house. Making your way up onto the house, you find the corpses of Spectre 3 one by one until you find their leader Selmet, which you download data from to try and figure out what happened. You get nothing but the feed of sounds of roaring, gunshots, and panic screams. Before you have time to process this, however, you're informed that more cultists are on their way. In what seems like the middle of the fight, the Patriarch pulls back his remaining forces, claiming that the ritual is complete and that their sacrifice was enough. Immediately after, Command radios you, telling you they've picked up Spectre 3's leader's signal and that it's rapidly approaching. Walking over to the door to find the soldier, you're instead greeted by a ghastly sight, an amalgam of flesh and bone shoved together in some crude mockery of life. Being forced to fight this abomination, lest it escape, you kill the beast and move on. You make your way back to the courtyard, but on your way, you find a mysterious needle marked dual-wield serum. Abandoning all common sense, you take the needle you found only seconds earlier and jam it into your arm. From this point on in gameplay, you can dual-wield all guns in the game, not just the pistol. Once you get outside, you see the Patriarch going down a very large lift. Cultists swoop in to prevent you from chasing after him, but after fighting them for a while, the lift comes back up. Slaughtering the cultists that came up on it, you hop on, leaving the rest of them to your allies to clean up while you go after the Patriarch. You descend into the lower level of the castle, fighting through even more cultists until you end up in a very large room with the leader inside. Being able to teleport, the Patriarch's fight is not an easy one. Between each of his 3 phases, he summons cultists, and in second phase intermission, he summons a flesh golem as well. Despite the overwhelming odds, you succeed and kill the Patriarch, his dying breath spent telling you to break the cycle. With this, you're exfilled and ready to be brought to the next mission, Site 83. The level begins with you and some other soldiers deployed in an icy cave near an underground Horizon facility. Walking to the entrance, you see an elevator that looks as if it hasn't been in use for a long time. You and 2 other soldiers descend using the elevator, swiftly making it to the facility. As you 3 step out, you'll find that your progress is quickly halted by an automatic door, which to open, you'll need to flip a switch in the nearby security office. Making your way forwards, you start to get a familiar feeling that something's wrong. With all of the equipment scattered about, shouldn't there be more people in this building? The announcements over the PA system seem to allude to something having happened, with it saying 176 job positions now vacant. You make your way through a locker room with bodies covered by tarps and helmets strewn about, like people were in a rush to get somewhere quickly. As you make your way past a gate with a sign warning about electricity, the PA sounds on again, saying, for safety reasons, running is discouraged, which is a subtle hint of what's to come. Flipping a switch to power on a door, the gate you just walked through is now electrified, forcing you to climb through the nearby ventilation shaft. After crawling out of the vent, you backtrack through the hallway you came from. As you're walking, however, you catch a glimpse of something, a shadow, moving ahead of you. It could have been nothing, a trick of the light, but the absence of the men you came down with is now very noticeable. More bloodstains seem to appear, a familiar sight, but this time you're not the cause of it. You walk into a hallway coated in blood, and as you're about to walk out, the door shuts in your face. You turn around and get jump-scared by the shadow from earlier, proving that it was real and not just a trick of the light. You black out for a moment and wake up in the bathroom, the message "Don't run" written in blood on the mirror. As you move along, more messages are seen, like "Can't kill them" and "They're blind." In essence, telling you that you're in for another mandatory stealth section. I know I said that stealth would never be used again earlier, but I lied. Sneaking past the shadows, you soon find some Horizon mercenaries dressed in hazmat suits with varying levels of armor. This combat encounter, though brief, is a breath of fresh air, a temporary reprieve from the tension moments prior. Killing them, you would continue on as normal, but you get this kind of static in your vision, before you're abruptly teleported into what looks like a building halfway constructed. You flip on your flashlight and press on forward. The first door you come across in this new area has a very different looking area behind it, with drab mono-yellow walls, a damp carpet, and humming fluorescent lights. As you wander the halls, you find various Horizon paraphernalia, like grotesque paintings seen in earlier levels, and branded vending machines for some reason. Eventually, you find a long hallway with a green light at the end of the tunnel. As you take your first steps in, the door shuts behind you, the lights all go out, and something begins to chase you. A few seconds after, you're teleported out, back to the facility you were deployed to. Moving forwards, you find another elevator shaft. You attempt to call the elevator, but the power's out, requiring you to reset the circuit breaker nearby. You hear the elevator careen down the shaft, ending quickly with a violent thump. The hazmat soldiers are now alerted to your presence, so you take them out quickly. Jumping down the elevator shaft, you rush forwards, only to be teleported to the backrooms again. You can hear Horizon soldiers ahead of you, so you rush forwards to take them on. Breezing through the combat encounter, you find yourself in another hallway with a green light at the end, only this time you're not being chased. You're teleported back to the facility and walk into a room overlooking some of your allied soldiers attempting to fire a laser at some kind of glowing cube. Walking down into the room, you're greeted by the soldiers, only for them to suddenly and violently explode, starting the most unique boss encounter in this game. Your goal in this fight is to activate all 3 breakers, giving power to the laser, which can destroy the cube, as your normal weapons cannot damage it. Each breaker is protected by a wall of specters, which only go away after a wave of enemies are defeated, freeing their souls. After powering up the laser, you fire it into the cube and everything goes black, as you're sucked into it. The voice from the PA earlier talks to you, telling you it's not your time yet, whatever that may mean. You're picked up by helicopter and brought back to your hub, ready for one final assault on Horizon. The level begins with you in the sewers, approaching Horizon HQ. You enter through the basement and plant 3 breach charges around the room while fighting off waves of enemies. After everyone's dead, you move into an elevator, heading to the surface, detonating the charges as you ascend. Making your way to the headquarters, you go across a bridge, passing isolated mercenaries and wrecks of vehicles. When you reach the front doors, you plant a breach charge and blast them open. The guards try to stop you, but they're nothing compared to what you've faced so far. With another blast charge, you reach the main lobby, massacring everyone inside. As you shoot up the building, you'll hear the Horizon CEO, Anton Lazar, over the intercom, slowly getting more desperate as he realizes all of his work was for nothing. After clearing the lobby, you reach an elevator to take you to the top floor. As you get in, Lazar says this.
We made mistakes. Some people died.
It's almost over, 106. We'll stop Horizon once and for all. 106, I can barely reach you on comms. Something's interfering with the signal.
Subject 106, you're not burning down an empire. You're burning down the hopes and dreams of thousands of scientists and innovators. Look around you. These aren't military targets. These are civilians. Have you ever noticed how the Syndicate is always the aggressor, always the invader? What you're committing today isn't justice. It's genocide.
Getting out of the elevator, you clear out the numerous mines and fight your way through dozens of mercenaries until you end up on the rooftop penthouse for your showdown with Lazar. Knowing he won't win, his final plan is to upload his consciousness so that even if his body dies, he'll live on. This battle consists of fighting off mercenaries and destroying the donor brains Lazar is trying to upload through. After you destroy enough of the brains on the ground, one will be held by a helicopter, and when you destroy it, you'll have to fight the helicopter as well. After all the brains are reduced to nothing but rubble and flesh, you kill Lazar himself. Now, I can't show this clip on YouTube because that'll get me demonetized, but I assure you it happened. After the death of Lazar, your job is finished. No more Horizon, no more playing God. You return to the hub as per usual, but this time, as you pull the lever to cycle the airlock, gas starts pouring in, knocking you unconscious. You wake up with your weapons stripped away, about to be shoved in an incinerator, so you do the only thing that you know how to do at this point. You fight. Killing the men trying to incinerate you, and knowing that your former allies are now trying to murder you, you attempt to make your way to the missile silo to blow this place to smithereens and ensure no student survives. After they realize cannon fodder, no matter how highly trained, will do nothing to stop you, they deploy their new weapon, Subject 107. Fighting him off in a chaotic dance of lead and steel, you overhear soldiers talking about setting off some charges to trap you, so you sprint to the laptop to disarm the explosives. You disable them in the nick of time, but before you can celebrate, 107 shows up and slices off your left hand, leaving you unable to dual wield, throw grenades, or take hostages for the rest of the mission. Despite your injury, you press on, determined to reduce this place to ash. Making it to the silo, 107 makes it there just before you, and has no goal but to keep you from yours. After a long battle, you kill 107 and run to the button to activate the warhead. As you get to the desk, you see one of the many clones of 107 start to emerge from its vat, ready for round 2. Before it can do anything though, you slam your stump of an arm down on the button, setting off the nuke. The main part of the video is over, but before you go click off to watch something else, I have a few things to say. One, yes, I'm aware there is a secret ending, but no, I will not go out of my way to get it. I have neither the time nor patience for that. 2, this was a labor of love for me, and there will be more content at some point, I just don't know exactly what or when, but it's coming. 3, if you like this video, could you do me a favor and subscribe? You can always undo it later, and it'll be worth your while. That's all for me for now, and remember, it's Deladius, not Deladius.